The 1969 Lincoln Mark III was more than just a car. It was a bold statement in automotive design. As the flagship of Ford Motor Company, it combined breathtaking power with unmatched luxury, showcasing the best of both worlds. With its massive 460 V8 engine, the Mark III stunned America, pushing the boundaries of what a luxury muscle car could be, and forever changing the automotive landscape. The birth of the 1969 Lincoln Mark III. In the late 1960s, Ford wanted to create a car that could compete with Cadillac's popular luxury vehicles. This idea came from a man named Lee Iacocca, who was a big deal at Ford. He wanted a car that could rival the Cadillac Eldorado, but it had to be special, something different that could catch the attention of wealthy car buyers. The result was the 1969 Lincoln Mark III. Ford's plan was simple yet ambitious. The car would be a luxury vehicle, but it wouldn't have the high costs of a fully custom-built car like the ones that came before it. To keep costs down, the Mark III would share many parts with other Ford cars. This would help make it easier and cheaper to build, but the car still had to look elegant and feel like a true luxury vehicle. And that's exactly what Ford did, creating the Mark III. The idea for the Mark III was born in 1965 when Iacocca decided he wanted a car with a Rolls-Royce grille but designed on a Ford Thunderbird platform. He brought in Gene Bordenat, Ford's design chief, to help bring the car to life. The team, known as the Strawberry Studio, started working on the Mark III. This special group of designers worked in secret, creating the look and feel of the new car. Ford had big hopes for the Mark III. They wanted to make sure it could compete with the Cadillac Eldorado. The Mark III was designed to be more stylish, sleeker, and classier, with special touches like hidden headlights and a big shiny grille. The idea was to make a car that looked as elegant as the high-end European cars, but at a more affordable price. Interestingly, when the car was first shown to a group of Lincoln and Mercury dealers in 1966, the response was less than exciting. Many people didn't like the design, and they weren't sure if it would sell well. However, Lee Iacocca and Henry Ford II loved it, so they decided to go ahead and make it anyway. This bold move turned out to be a smart one. The Mark III went into production in 1968 and became a huge success. When the Mark III was finally ready for the public, it was unveiled at the 12 Hours of Sebring race in March 1968. This car was unlike anything else on the road, and it quickly caught the attention of car buyers. It was aimed directly at Cadillac's Eldorado, which had been the top luxury car for many years. Even though the Mark III was built using parts from the Thunderbird, it didn't look like just another Ford car. It had its own unique identity. In 1969, when the Mark III was officially released, it sold better than anyone expected. It was a massive hit, outselling the Cadillac Eldorado in its first year. Ford had found a way to make a luxury car that felt expensive and fancy, but it didn't cost as much as other luxury cars on the market. The public loved it, and soon the Mark III became the top choice for anyone looking to drive in style and comfort. Despite its early success, there were some challenges along the way. Some critics didn't love the design, and some felt it didn't live up to the hype. But these opinions didn't slow down the sales. In fact, the 1969 Mark III sold over 23,000 cars that year, just about the same number as Cadillac's Eldorado. This was a huge achievement for Ford, who had always struggled to keep up with Cadillac's sales. The Mark III's success marked the beginning of a new era for Ford. It showed that the company could make a luxury car that could compete with the best in the industry. It set the stage for future Mark models, which would continue to build on the success of the 1969 version. Although the 1969 Lincoln Mark III was a big success, it wouldn't last forever. The car had a good run through the late 1960s and early 1970s, but by 1972, it was time for a change. Ford decided to redesign the Mark III, and in 1972, the Continental Mark IV was born. This new model would take everything that was great about the Mark III and improve upon it, bringing the Mark series into the 1970s. Now let's discuss the features that made this car a successful icon in history. Engine and transmission. Starting with the heart of the car. The 1969 Lincoln Mark III is powered by a robust 460 cubic inch engine, a version of Ford's 385 series big block V8 engine. This engine, a scaled-up version of Ford's small block, features a cast-iron block and cylinder heads, contributing to its considerable weight of around 700 pounds. The 460 V8 is known for its impressive power and torque, generating 365 horsepower at 4,600 RPM and an astounding 500 pound-feet of torque at just 2,800 RPM. With a compression ratio of 10.5 to 1, this engine is built to provide plenty of muscle, making it an ideal fit for the Mark III's luxury muscle car persona. Exclusive to Lincoln, until 1972, the 460 V8 engine remained in passenger car use until 1978, when it was shared with Mercury, the Thunderbird, and later used in light-duty trucks like the Ford F-150 and F-250, along with the Econoline vans and Super Duty trucks. With proper maintenance, these engines have been known to last well beyond 200,000 miles, making them highly durable and reliable. However, there are a few common issues to be aware of. Some engines may experience worn timing chains, which should be replaced every 70,000 to 80,000 miles. Additionally, the nylon coating on the cam timing gear can deteriorate over time, leading to bits of nylon locking up the oil pump, which could cause significant damage. Like many older engines, the 460 V8 is prone to oil leaks. It's important to check for oil seepage under the rear main seal, valve cover gaskets, oil pan gasket, and oil cooler. The timing cover and oil cooler may also develop coolant leaks. Exhaust manifold bolts can sometimes break due to repeated heating and cooling cycles, which can eventually lead to the heads snapping off. As for the transmission, all Mark IIIs were equipped with a select shift turbo drive transmission, which was Lincoln's name for the corporate C6 3-speed automatic transmission. This transmission was specifically tailored to suit the driving characteristics of the Mark III, providing smooth shifting and reliability. The C6 is a rugged and reliable unit, with plenty of new and used parts readily available. Known for its straightforward design, the C6 transmission has been extensively covered in repair manuals, making it easy to diagnose and fix any issues that may arise over time. The Mark III's differential was equipped with 2.801 gears as standard, with an optional 3.001 gear ratio. Additionally, the optional traction lock limited slip differential provided improved handling and traction, especially under heavy acceleration or on slippery surfaces. Power steering and hydraulic systems. One of the outstanding features that really set the 1969 Lincoln Mark III apart from other cars of its time was its power steering system. It wasn't like the power steering you'd find in most vehicles today. Instead of the usual pump design, Ford decided to directly link the power steering pump to the engine's crankshaft. This meant the pump was powered by the engine itself rather than using a belt-driven system, which was more common. This unique feature was something Ford had been using since the 1950s. The 1969 Mark III was the last model to have this setup, and it was a cool throwback to the past. But that wasn't all. The car also had a hydraulic wiper system. This was another unusual design that made the Mark III stand out. Instead of using an electric motor to power the wipers, the power steering pump did the job. This design was unique to Ford vehicles at the time and allowed the wipers to operate at a variable speed. Plus, drivers could manually adjust the wiper speed with a dial on the dashboard. How's that for innovation? Air conditioning and compressor setup. Now, let's talk about the air conditioning system, which was another amazing feature that made the Mark III feel like a true luxury car. Unlike many vehicles of that time, which used simple air conditioning systems, the 1969 Mark III had a sophisticated setup. The air conditioning system used a compressor, condenser, and evaporator, all driven by the engine's crankshaft. What made this setup even more special was that it used the now obsolete R12 refrigerant. This meant that the Mark III could stay cool even in the hottest weather, giving the driver and passengers a true feeling of comfort. And here's the interesting part. Even though the system is now very old, the air conditioning compressor still works perfectly on many of these classic cars today. During colder weather, the compressor can be easily disconnected, which saves energy and prevents the system from running unnecessarily. The rear ventilation system. Rear ventilation system. This wasn't just a regular air vent. It was specifically designed with luxury in mind. Imagine this, a system built just for cigar smokers. The rear ventilation system had a vent located at the top of the rear compartment, and it could be opened or closed by rotating an outer ring. This gave the passengers in the back seat a perfect flow of air, even when the windows were closed. Not only was this a great feature for those who enjoyed a cigar, but it also helped keep the interior fresh and comfortable, no matter the weather outside. Window operation with the ignition off. Next up, we have a really unique feature that wasn't found in many cars at the time. The 1969 Lincoln Mark III had a special system that allowed the windows to be operated even when the ignition was off. Normally, you could only roll down the windows when the car was on, but the Mark III had a bypass system that allowed the windows to be lowered even when the engine wasn't running. This was especially useful in situations like parking in tight spaces or wanting a quick breeze while the car was off. All you had to do was press a special bypass button, and you could open or close the windows with ease. This feature showed just how forward-thinking Ford was when it came to making the Mark III a car that was both luxurious and practical. Retracting windows. In addition, retracting rear windows. Unlike most cars, where the rear windows simply roll up and down, the Mark III had a system that made the rear windows retract into the car's sail panel. This was a unique design that added to the car's elegance and made it stand out from the crowd. However, this feature wasn't without its challenges. The retracting mechanism was complex, and it wasn't always easy to replace if it broke. But when it worked, it was an impressive feature that highlighted the car's luxurious design. Power window troubleshooting. Despite all the high-tech features, some owners of the 1969 Mark III faced challenges with the car's power windows. While the motors themselves were still functional, the switches controlling the windows sometimes didn't work correctly. In many cases, issues arose due to tampered or faulty wiring, which prevented the windows from operating as they should. To troubleshoot this, the wiring diagrams provided a guide for testing specific terminals for power to determine if the wiring was the source of the problem. Autronic eye, automatic headlight, dimming. No doubt, the 1969 Lincoln Mark III was loaded with innovation, and one of its most impressive features was the Autronic eye, an automatic headlight dimming system. This technology was way ahead of its time, making night driving much safer for everyone on the road. The Autronic eye was designed to automatically dim the car's headlights when it detected oncoming traffic. Instead of the driver having to adjust the high beams manually, the system did it for them, switching from high to low beams when another vehicle approached. This was a big deal back in 1969, as it improved the driving experience, making it safer for the driver and other motorists. What made this system even more special was the fact that it could be adjusted. The driver had control over the range at which the headlights would automatically dim so they could set it to their preference. This feature was not only incredibly convenient, but also made the Mark III stand out from other cars on the market at the time. Tilt steering mechanism. Tilt steering mechanism. This may sound like a small thing, but it was actually a big deal back then. The steering wheel could be adjusted up or down, allowing the driver to find the most comfortable driving position. But here's where it gets unique. Instead of using the usual method of adjusting the wheel, the Mark III's tilt mechanism was operated by pushing the turn signal lever forward. This was an interesting and unusual design choice, but it worked smoothly and became a trademark feature of the vehicle. It may have seemed a bit strange at first, but the design worked well, and drivers loved the added comfort and convenience. Being able to adjust the steering wheel made it easier for drivers of all sizes to find their ideal position behind the wheel. Plus, it wasn't just about comfort, it was also about safety. With a more comfortable driving position, drivers were able to focus better on the road, which made driving the Mark III even more enjoyable. Vacuum-operated headlights and power locks. Now, here's a feature that really set the 1969 Lincoln Mark III apart. Vacuum-operated headlights and power door locks. Instead of relying on electric motors, these systems used vacuum power to operate. The vacuum-operated headlights were not only cool, but also functional. The system worked by using the engine's vacuum, which was drawn from the intake manifold. This vacuum was then applied to the actuators attached to the headlights, which controlled the movement of the lights. The headlights could be raised or lowered at the touch of a button, adding to the car's luxurious feel. The power locks, meanwhile, made it easier to lock and unlock the car, adding a layer of convenience that was hard to find in other vehicles at the time. Troubleshooting vacuum headlight systems. While vacuum-operated systems were a hallmark of the Mark III, they weren't without their challenges. For example, if the headlights started flashing erratically or making strange buzzing noises, it was often a sign that something had gone wrong. Many owners reported issues with the headlights flickering or malfunctioning after driving for a few minutes. These problems were often linked to the vacuum system, which could be affected by a number of issues, including leaks in the system or a faulty relay. In some cases, the photo amplifier unit, which controlled the dimming of the headlights, could fail, leading to erratic behavior in the headlights. The solution in these situations was often to replace the photo amplifier, as it was a key component of the system. External voltage regulator. Another unique feature of the 1969 Lincoln Mark III is the use of an external voltage regulator. Unlike most cars that have an internal voltage regulator built into the alternator, this Mark III uses a separate regulator mounted on the back of the alternator. This was something special that set the Mark III apart. However, it did come with some challenges. Many owners found themselves dealing with overcharging issues because the regulator could sometimes malfunction. Overcharging can cause serious damage to the battery, which means drivers have to stay on top of the health of the regulator. Finding the regulator itself was not always easy, as it was tucked away in a tricky spot. But once located, replacing or repairing it could solve the charging issues. Faux wood grain dash. Speaking of interior design, the 1969 Lincoln Mark III was just as unique as its mechanical features. One of the standout elements was the faux wood grain dash. While later models would feature real wood accents, the 1969 version had a high-quality faux wood material that mimicked the look of real wood. It was so well done that many people couldn't tell it wasn't real wood at first glance. The faux wood was carefully crafted with intricate stitching on the door panels that made it look even more realistic. This attention to detail gave the car's interior a classic, luxurious feel without the high cost of real wood. Hidden headlights and heavy-duty springs. Next up, one-of-a-kind feature on the 1969 Mark III was the hidden headlights. These headlights were not only hidden behind vacuum-operated covers, but also operated via a vacuum system instead of the usual electric motors. Ford was known for using vacuum systems in their cars, and the Mark III was no exception. The vacuum-operated headlights added an extra level of luxury and mystique to the vehicle, as the lights would pop up when needed and hide away when not in use. This made the front of the car look sleek and clean when the headlights were off. However, over time, the vacuum system could be prone to failure, which is why many Mark III owners replaced the vacuum springs to ensure that the headlights would pop up and down as intended. The system was reliable when maintained properly, but its complexity could lead to some repairs down the road. In addition to the headlights, the Mark III was also equipped with heavy-duty springs that helped support its large frame. These springs were designed to handle the weight of the car and ensure a smooth ride for the driver and passengers. The heavy-duty springs were part of the reason the Mark III had such a solid and stable feel on the road, even when driving at high speeds. Ford's use of these springs was a key part of the vehicle's performance, providing both comfort and durability. The 8-track stereo system. Now, let's talk about the 8-track stereo system, a feature that really set the 1969 Mark III apart from many other cars. At the time, the 8-track tape player was one of the most advanced and popular ways to listen to music in a car. The Mark III's 5-speaker system included speakers located in the rear, center console, and doors, giving it impressive sound quality for the era. This system was a huge selling point for those who wanted both luxury and entertainment in their car. Even today, the 8-track system is seen as a fun and nostalgic feature that makes the Mark III stand out among classic cars. The 8-track system allowed drivers and passengers to enjoy their favorite music without having to worry about constantly changing tapes. It played music in an endless loop, meaning that after about 80 minutes, the tape would automatically start over. While this system has since been replaced by newer technologies like CD players and MP3 players, the 8-track stereo system in the Mark III was cutting-edge for its time. Despite being decades old, many owners still find that the 8-track system works surprisingly well, making it one of the coolest retro features of the car. The key location and anti-theft feature. In the end, the 1969 Mark III also featured a highly unusual anti-theft system. The ignition key was placed at the very bottom of the dashboard, making it difficult for potential thieves to easily find it. While this might seem like a strange location, it was part of Ford's attempt to make the car more secure. Since the ignition key was not in the usual spot on the steering column, it created an added layer of security. The absence of a steering column lock did make the car a little more vulnerable to theft in other ways, but the key's unique location made it harder for someone to just jump in and drive off. But that wasn't the only way the Mark III made it harder to steal. There was also a simple method for starting the car that involved grounding 2 terminals, which made tasks like setting the timing easier to perform. While it was a quirky system, it added another layer of complexity that helped keep the car safe from thieves. In a way, the Mark III's ignition and anti-theft system was a precursor to more modern security measures, offering a unique approach to vehicle protection. The 1969 Lincoln Mark III is truly a fascinating example of 1960s automotive design. Its blend of innovation and luxury made it stand out from other cars of its time. From the external voltage regulator and faux wood grain dash to the hidden headlights and heavy-duty springs, the Mark III had unique features that set it apart. Even though some of these features may seem odd today, they were part of what made the Mark III so special. And that wraps up our look at the 1969 Lincoln Mark III, the luxury muscle car that stunned America with its innovative features and timeless style. What do you think about the Mark III's unique design and features? Drop a comment below. Let us know your thoughts. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more content like this.